What's up, everybody? It's Ron, and today I'm going to be reviewing the new Zack Snyder Justice League cut. This film has been years in the making, and it was a huge fan movement that came to life with the help of HBO Max, because a 4-hour movie is way better suited for a streaming service instead of a theatrical release, so I think this was a good idea to go through with it on there. More people are going to be inclined to watch it in the comfort of their own homes and take breaks, split up the movie in 4 parts like you're watching a TV show or a miniseries, because I think it works that way as well. I personally watched 2 hours one day and then another 2 the next day to kind of gather my thoughts a little bit better, so that worked for me. Before I talk about what I thought of this movie, I will start by saying that I wasn't a huge fan of Man of Steel or Batman vs Superman. I've always been a bigger fan of DC Comics than Marvel, and I feel like the Batman, Superman, and Justice League animated series are some of the best versions of these characters. So to see a dark and gloomy version of them in movies like Man of Steel and Batman v Superman really turned me off, and I didn't recognize the heroes I grew to love for years reading the books and watching those amazing cartoons. All that being said, I enjoyed this movie way more than the previous 2, and a lot of that has to do with Snyder toning down some of the brutality with his heroes, especially Batman. I like the idea of Ben Affleck as Batman more than the actual execution in Batman v Superman, meaning like I like the way he looked. But I didn't appreciate him murdering people left and right, when that's not really true to the character in the comics at all. In this film, he's way better, and aside from killing the parademons, no humans get harmed by him, so that's a great improvement. I did feel that the first hour had some really pointless scenes that felt a little pretentious to me, like every hero having a slow-motion music video when they're first introduced, and pointless scenes that drag on too long, like when Aquaman leaves and the Icelandic women are singing this song, and it seems like it goes on forever. So little things like that could have been trimmed down. But aside from that, I actually thought the pacing was well done for a movie that's this long, and I was surprised with how much more coherent the story was. The reason this movie works way better now is because the characters have more time to develop on their own right, and when they finally get together and become a team, it feels way more earned this time around, and I couldn't believe that they actually had decent chemistry with one another. Even the Flash was a little less annoying this time, even though I think Ezra Miller is horribly miscast. I think the Wonder Woman scene at the beginning, when she's saving the schoolgirls from the terrorists, dragged on a little long, but I really liked the way she looked when she was blocking the bullets. You really get a sense of her speed and ferocity, and it was cool to watch, but I laughed so hard when one of the little girls asked her if she could be like her one day. And of course, Wonder Woman has to say something corny like, yeah, you could be whatever you want. But part of me wishes she was just like, unfortunately, no. I'm an Amazon princess. I have the strength of 12 men. I have a magic lasso. And you'll never be like me, no matter how hard you try. I'm sorry. The story is still pretty much the same. It's pretty simple. Steppenwolf needs to get the 3 mother boxes on Earth, but this time you get a little more backstory and you find out that he was cast out by Darkseid, so now he's trying to prove himself. So I like that there was a little more motivation with the villain, and even though he looked a little better, the CGI is still not that great, and no one cares about Steppenwolf. Can we just be honest about that? We all care about Darkseid, so I don't know. Throughout most of this, I just wanted to see more of him and Apocalypse because I'm a big fan of the whole New Gods mythos, and I guess that's what was supposed to be in the next 2 sequels, but they probably won't happen. I also got annoyed with the Wonder Woman scenes where everything she does, every time she has an action scene, they have to do that same theme. And it just, I feel like they should have used it sparingly, because after the 10th time hearing like, ah, it just gets annoying. So I would have cut that out in some parts, you know, maybe use it in the beginning and then maybe at the end when she's fighting Steppenwolf, but that's just me. Even though Superman wasn't in this movie that much for obvious reasons, I really liked his stuff way better in this movie, and the black suit looked really cool. There wasn't really a need for it, but it was a nice nod to the whole Death of Superman era in the comics. And it was also interesting to see how powerful he is compared to the rest of the Justice League and Steppenwolf. Cyborg also gets a larger backstory, and even though I thought he was one of the least interesting characters in the movie, he had a lot more to do, and Snyder shows why he was an integral part of the team. Aquaman was pretty much consistent with how he was in the theatrical version. It was weird to see his scenes with some of the other Atlanteans, because the tone is way different than his own movie, and that is definitely one of the more interesting things to compare this movie with the theatrical release, because we haven't really gotten that before. Martian Manhunter's inclusion was very sudden and strange, and I didn't really love the design of the character, but it does show that Snyder was going to add more heroes in the sequels, and I think he also wanted to add Green Lantern as well, but the studio wouldn't let him. So in a way, this 4-hour film is a big what if, but it is cool that he was allowed to go back and finish it the way he originally intended without interference. I could barely sit through Batman v Superman in the theater, and aside from some really silly scenes and a little too much slow motion, it kind of flew by, and I wasn't really bored during any of it. I also thought the action sequences were really well balanced, and I didn't feel like there were too many things going on at once, and it never got too hectic, so I appreciate the restraint that was used in this film. I really like the first fight they have as a team with Steppenwolf, and I like the effort to show what makes each member valuable to the team and showcase each hero. So yeah, I'm pretty shocked that it was a painless experience, and obviously it's not perfect, but I did enjoy it. The nightmare scene that was tagged on at the end felt like a step back to me because it felt way more like the Batman v Superman tone, and Batman felt more like he did in that film, so I didn't love that, and I feel like Jared Leto tries too hard, but that was pretty much the equivalent to doing a post-credit scene, so it didn't bother me too much. As much as I like the film overall, I still don't really care if we get a sequel to it. And from what I know, Warner Brothers really doesn't want to go forward with his vision, and this was a one-time thing. But at least the fans got what they wanted and got to see his vision, so that's pretty cool because that doesn't happen too often. So let me know what you guys thought in the comments, and please consider subscribing if you like this type of content. Thanks for watching.